So my uncle used to say back when I was growing up that they would put certain people's face in the dictionary next to the word stupid so that people would know what stupid really looked like. And my uncle could deliver it so much better than I ever could. And whenever he said it, everyone would just bust out laughing. But I think about that these days when I think about the phrase grasping for straws. You know, if someone was going to look up that phrase and what does that phrase exactly mean? What is a good example of grasping for straws? Well, it would be Maga's new conspiracy theory. I wished I was making this up, but folks, we're actually going to have fun reading this because, yeah, I'm actually reading this out loud in 2024. Maga's Walz dog conspiracy. This is a real thing from them, okay? This is Ron Filipkowski from the Midas Touch Network. Tim Walz loves dogs. He posts his photos of himself with dogs all the time. He also loves his dog Scout and frequently takes him to dog parks and posts photos from the park. This has led to a new right-wing conspiracy today, which is International Dog Day. Yes, the same people who spent weeks trying to create fake stolen valor claims out of nothing are now trying to create a new conspiracy about Walz's dog. The conspiracy was started by Dustin Grage, who lists himself on his Twitter bio as a Minnesota GOP hype man and a columnist for the right-wing website Town Hall. So here this guy is. In his post, Grange claims that Walz is lying about taking his dog Scout to the dog park because the dog in the photo is not Scout. The post has gone viral with over 1 million views in the first hour it was posted. It has been posted by prominent right-wing accounts like Charlie Kirk, Kim, I can't say her damn last name, Missouri U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt. By tonight, it will likely close in on 10 million views and could even be featured on Fox. Jesse Waters' show seems to be a good bet. Can you believe that we're actually reading this? So he claimed to take a dog that wasn't the real dog. That ain't Scout. That ain't Scout. Let's start a conspiracy theory and let's paint Tim Walz as some kind of commie because that ain't Scout. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, folks. These are the same people who has a man that is the front runner of their party, and they're all following him right off a cliff. And this is the guy who sexually abused a woman. The judge did confirm that, yes, this was rape, and he defamed her later, and they're solidly behind him. This is the guy that cheated on every woman that he ever was with. This is the guy who has been on Epstein's plane. We could sit here and bring the receipts all day long, but they're grasping at straws and trying to say that the dog in that picture ain't Scout. That's all they got. And there are people out there who will share that, with excitement. Like, I got them liberals. I've owned them liberals with this. That ain't Scout. We got them. And they will post that stuff. And yet we will sit here time and time again and bring the receipts. We'll bring the fact checks. We'll bring all the lies. We'll point out everything Donald Trump's done, and they'll sit there and they'll ignore every bit of that. They'll just not listen to nothing we say. But Scout, by God, that wasn't him in that photo, and they will stand around the loading dock at work, and they will marvel at Tim Walz and how weird he is for posting the wrong dog in the photo. And I wished I was making this up, but that is the level of weirdness and idiocy that we're seeing from the right. And Tucker Carlson, of course, is going to come to bat for us. Don't worry. Old Tucker's laying in the weeds. And old Tucker says he just knows a weirdo when he sees one. He has no evidence, but he just knows a weirdo when he sees one. Take a look.
Well, I lived in a boys' dorm in a New England boarding school in the 1980s with a lot of guys like Tim Walz, okay? So I saw that guy and I'm like, oh, wow, I know exactly. You're a creeper, as we used to call him, for sure. And, you know, I guess I definitely shouldn't suggest what I'm suggesting without evidence. I don't have evidence beyond what I've seen. So I just want to say that I'm probably, again,
do you mean like a pervert? Like, I don't, when you say creepy, like,
there's something wrong with that guy. He's a weirdo. And you can tell watching him.
So old Tucker says he knows a creeper when he sees one. Okay, Tucker, let's bring this receipt.
Very nice figure. I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
if I weren't happily married and, her father.
My daughter,
is.
Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
By the way, your daughter.
She's beautiful.
Can I say this? A piece of ass.
Yeah.
She looks more voluptuous than ever.
She's actually always been very voluptuous.
It's
She's tall.
unbelievable.
She's almost 6 feet.
You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
That ain't creepy to you? That ain't a little bit weird that a guy would say that about his own daughter? You guys are absolutely grasping for straws, and at this point in the game, it's just so humiliating to sit and watch. And it's so hard to take anyone seriously who supports Donald Trump at this point in the game. Listen, I have friends who voted for Donald Trump in 2016. I've had them on the channel. We've talked about it. My good buddy Texas Trey, we've made several videos together. Trey voted for Trump back in 2016. He came right out and said, you know what? I wasn't really paying as much attention back then. I just looked at the race at the last minute. I saw Hillary Clinton. She wasn't a very popular candidate. I saw Donald Trump. He was an American businessman. I thought, hey, let's give this a chance. And then I got halfway through his administration and realized what a mess he was, and I regretted that vote. I've talked to people that voted for him again in 2020, and then after they saw what happened on January 6th, they couldn't hang in there. There are people that have jumped ship since then. But to those that are still out there hanging on, and you share these kind of stories, and you act like that should get my attention. And I can't count the people who will send me stories like this and think, that'll turn old Brando around. Brando will come to his senses. He'll realize we're the good people. We're trying to fight the good fight. Let's send him a story about Tim Walz's dog. Do you know how many pictures that I have of Walker Coonhounds and Red Bones and Blue Ticks and black and tan dogs that my dad and his brothers had? They were known in this part of the world for the dogs they had. I have got countless pictures of countless dogs. And if I start pointing at these dogs, I might say, yeah, there's old Speck. And my dad may say, no, that wasn't Speck. That was old Jake. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. But does that make me a communist? No. Does that make me an enemy of the state? No. Does that make me a creeper? No. And if Tucker Carlson really wants to talk about, he knows a creeper when he sees one, I would say that I have way more life experience in this world than Tucker Carlson. I have a lot more street smarts than Tucker Carlson, because I guarantee you he's not come from the places I've came from. Growing up in my part of the world, I learned at an early age when people was talking down to me. And when I became a musician and I went out into some of the most cutthroat redneck dive bars in my part of the world, I had to learn real quick who the creepers in the room were. I had to find out real quick who were the people that were out to get me or could potentially stab me in the parking lot. And you're looking at a guy who has almost been shot, stabbed, and ran over in his lifetime in places like that. So I think I know a little bit more about how to spot a creeper. And I'll tell you one way that I know how to spot one. It's when they stand around and brag about what they can do to women, and women will just let them do it. And when they stand back and say weird, creepy shit about their own daughter, yeah, that's a pretty big red flag to me. I promise you, if I had have been in the crowd on a break, because I used to go out on my breaks at my shows, I talked with the crowd, I hung out with the crowd, drank with the crowd, I partied with the crowd. And there was times that, people said, hey, do you want to walk out in the parking lot and do this? And yeah, let's go for it. I'm owning it. Okay, I had my Hunter Biden years. I did. We all did. But if somebody was to say to me, hey, man, I brought my daughter to the bar. Oh, yeah? Yeah, and if she wasn't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. I would walk back on stage and I would have a little powwow with my band and I'd say, there's a creep in here, okay? There is an absolute weirdo in here. See that dude over there? He brought his daughter. And he was talking about how that if she wasn't his daughter, he'd like to take her out. I promise you, I know a creeper when I see one too. And Donald Trump fits the profile. When I see him dancing along and whispering in Jeffrey Epstein's ear, I don't really think he was, talking about sports there, do you? Do you really think he was talking about the Steelers? I don't. It's so cringe to watch people still support this guy at this point in the game. And at no point have I ever saw a link that one of them shared or a meme that one of them shared and thought, gee, yeah, maybe I need to rethink my position. A lot of times when I'm on my personal page, I will scroll down and I'll see somebody that's still there and I'll go, oh yeah. And I'll know which idiot posted it before I scroll back up. Like, oh yeah, I should have known. Yeah, I should have known they were going to post that. They're upset over Scout. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. I wish that we were. I wish that this was just some sort of skit. Like it was some sort of test, like some kind of Truman Show deal where the producers would just all come out and die laughing, and Donald Trump would come out of character, and everyone would just laugh and say, "We got you. We were just doing this experiment on you guys." But I'm afraid this is reality. And that's why I'm fired up and ready to vote, because I want to vote on the side of reason, and I want to vote on the side of logic and facts and science and evidence and data. I don't want to vote on the side of conspiracy theories that grasp at such desperate straws that they got to get mad at a guy for saying the wrong dog in the picture. I don't want to be on that side of the aisle, period. Sorry, Coach D, wasn't trying to rip you off.